Let's begin. Welcome to another market update. Today is Monday, October 13. This is the second call we're doing today because yesterday we kind of postponed it until early this morning. But yeah, let's begin. So I haven't really traded anything at all today. I just kind of been watching the markets, seeing what they're going to do. We had quite the move happen on Friday, so let us break things down and see where we're at. So starting from the top, right now, Bitcoin has had a pullback into the EMA and is currently just sitting around this area. I would prefer to see some kind of a reaction from this area. It'll probably look something like this, where we just pull up into the area of interest. We don't really get a shift in structure or anything. We are still bearish on the 4 hour time frame. Daily time frame is bullish, and so is the 4 hour time frame. So if we're going to take buys, we have to take buys above this area of interest, and if we're taking sells, then we take sells below. But as of right now, nothing much has happened. S&P 500. So all three of these are moving very, very similarly. Daily time frame is bearish. We're pulling back to create what I believe is going to be a lower high to create a lower low. Overall price, I don't think that price is just going to continue up, although it can. I mean, although it can, but overall, I do believe that we are going to continue to the downside because the daily time frame and the 4 hour time frame are bearish all across the board. It looks a lot cleaner on US 30 and Nasdaq, where we have a clean lower low. We're creating the lower high for the next lower low under the EMA. Now we could be in a situation like this where we have broken below very shortly, and then we just break above and continue to buy. That's totally fine. If we're going to take buys, we're going to take buys up here once price comes back and retests the EMA and previous structure and area of interest. And then that's when we're going to take our buys. US 30, same thing. Just looking for sells or selling momentum to hop into this trade. It looks like we shifted above the EMA. It does tend to do this sometimes. So all we have to wait for in order to take sells is for price to shift back underneath, retest, and then sell. Pretty simple right there. Price would just do this and then continue on to the downside. As of right now, we don't really have anything, so not worried about it. Daily time frame on gold has created or is creating the next higher high. This will be our structure point for that higher high. All we can really expect is a pullback into this area. This is the next area of previous structure. So if price manages to come even into these little wicks up here, retest them, there's a good chance we'll continue to go to the upside. It would be nice to see that happen because then we would be retesting the 1 hour EMA, kind of like we do here, and then we just kind of continue to the upside. You can see how price does pull back pretty aggressively into that 1 hour EMA and then has a continuation, pull back into the 1 hour EMA and has a continuation. So exactly what we'd be looking for there. Dollar index, nothing much has changed here either. We pulled up into this area of interest and had a reaction to the downside. 4 hour time frame is still bullish, so still waiting for more sellers to enter this market, still waiting for price to break underneath the 4 hour EMA. And if we stay above it, then we're not trading. But if we do manage to break underneath, then we will have created a shoulder, head, shoulder. Another thing that I'm noticing right now is that we have created a little double top right here. And this is the neckline of the double top. So on the 2 hour time frame, that's exactly what we're retesting right now. The neckline of the double top. Price could just continue to the downside after this retest is completed. USD CAD into the Forex pairs now. Excuse me. Daily time frame is currently bullish. We were supposed to see a retest of this area of interest, the retest of the EMA, but that never happened, unfortunately. So what we can probably expect to happen now is a pullback into this area right here. where we have a few structure points, preferably a little bit lower, but there is also this area right here that price can kind of break above, retest really quickly, and continue to the upside. But our goal is to catch the nicest trades, and the nicest trade would be one with a bigger pullback so that we can catch a nicer risk to reward. That's why I was waiting for this lower low to be created, or rather a deeper pullback to be created in order for price to push upwards. Instead of retesting the 4-hour EMA, we just went ahead and retested the 2-hour EMA instead. So I don't think we're making it down into this area anymore. I think we're just going to continue to go up, especially if we engulf to the upside here. A pullback into previous structure would be nice, but it would also be a little bit scary, considering the fact that we would probably go, well, we wouldn't go bearish if we pulled back into here, but we would go bearish on the 4-hour time frame. And if the 4-hour time frame goes bearish from here, there's a good chance that we create like a double top, or we have created a double top, and then we retest the neckline and then we sell. So those are all things to consider. As of right now, we're just going to watch and learn, see if there's a little pullback and if there's a continuation candle after that pullback is completed. Are we interested still? Yes, but it's not as clean as we would like. Euro AUD. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss this down here because the move that I was expecting to happen kind of already took place. After this doji candle, we had the push to the upside. So that is unfortunate. Price pulled back, broke above, or broke above the EMA, retested EMA, pushed up, had kind of a shift. You can't really call it a shift of structure, but if you count the internal structures, we have a pullback, 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 shift of structure, pull back into previous structure, and then push up. So there's no shift of structure technically because price is bullish from right here all the way up to here. But you guys get what I'm saying. All right. Euro AUD weekly time frame is very bullish. Daily time frame is also bullish. So this is a little bit, this is interesting to watch. It seems like price is trapped between buyers and sellers right now. I would like to see a continuation immediately from where we are, and we will probably get that. Excuse me, it is rapidly approaching my bedtime. Anyways, let's get rolling. So yeah, we were pulling back into this EMA, into the area of interest. Obviously, the area of interest is not like perfect. There can be little changes, such as this. If we pulled into, or if we stretched our area of interest into this structure point, then we still have one right here, 2, 3, and 4 structure points. We're still in an area of interest, which is a daily area of interest. We are above the 4-hour EMA. What I would like to see here is like a little doji candle to close like so, and then the next candle to basically create a wick to the downside, and then have a bullish candle coming out of this area of interest. Then the next candle will most likely just create a wick into the area of interest and then push up out of the area of interest like so. So that's exactly what I'm expecting to happen. That's exactly what I'm going to be watching for. So will I be awake if that happens in the next 8 hours? I hope so. Yeah, I'll be awake at probably 6 tomorrow morning. So that would be midnight. So about an hour before or 2 hours before the 4-hour candle closes, which should give us this push up to the upside, because we still need this candle to close, which will take 2 hours. That would be the end of the day. And then you have the next 4-hour candle, which hopefully is engulfing. And then after that, we'll get our entry on the pair. That is if market structure lines up with what we're looking at. So bullish push, pullback over the EMA, above the EMA, and a continuation to the upside. Still very interested in this pair, still very interested in GBP AUD. Both are similar in terms of the way that we had this huge push. We're now pulling back into previous structure, into area of interest, into the EMA, and we will then get a continuation to the upside. Next is AUD USD. Weekly time frame is bearish, daily time frame is bearish. 4 hour, or we have pulled back into, or we are pulling back into the area of interest on the daily time frame. 4 hour time frame is bearish. We're still revisiting this area of interest. What I would like to see is a strong reaction to the downside. Similar to this, similar to the way we had pulled back right here. We reacted to the downside, then we pulled back, and then we engulfed. So this would be a fantastic area to enter. We are seeing something similar right here where we did have this reaction to the downside. This could be this pullback. It's obviously not the same. It kind of looks like this. Honestly, it looks exactly like this right here, if you guys pay attention. So this structure and this structure right here looks almost identical, where we have consolidation, 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 push to the downside, pretty strong reaction almost to create a double top. What do we have here? Consolidation, consolidation, push to the downside. We reacted, pulled back to create a double top, react from the EMA, and then push lower. This one will probably happen overnight. I mean, I don't think that I'll be able to catch this one. I'll set an alarm. Technically, you just need to, let's see. So I'm going to set an alarm right there, right below this structure point, because, well, technically we could set it a little bit tighter, so that way we have time to react to what price does. But yeah, if we engulf to the downside and then we pull back, there's no reason why we shouldn't just continue to sell. AUD-CHF is next. AUD-CHF weekly time frame had a weekly bearish engulfing. Daily time frame had a very, very strong sell. What did we do? We pulled back into the EMA, into previous structure, which is right here. 4 hour time frame is still bearish, pulling back into this this EMA, and price is currently just sitting here and waiting for the reaction to the downside. After that, we'll wait for a small pullback and then the sell to actually happen. Similar to the way price has reacted a few times in the past. Let's see if we can find an example. I mean, the example was kind of like this one right here, where we pulled back, we reacted, we pulled back, and then we had the entry presented to us. So same thing across these other CHF pairs. This one is already setting up with a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder. So we have a nice reversal pattern right here. This is technically the reaction off the EMA we want to see. Once we break below the neckline, any kind of pullback and engulfing candle would be a good entry point. Stop loss placement would be a little bit questionable. You could either place your stop loss underneath or above one of these structures like so, or a safer bet would be right here at the EMA, at the area of interest. So that if price does create another pullback, let's say like so, we are still safe and we won't get taken out of this position. USD CHF weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame had a very strong sell. Now this is one of these CHF pairs that is bullish on the daily time frame. We are above the EMA, we're above the area of interest, and we actually pulled back very aggressively into the EMA, into the area of interest. There's a chance we could catch buys here, but I'm kind of holding on to the fact that the CHF pairs are mostly all going to move to this in the same way. And also, we are bearish on the 4 hour time frame. So this could just be us retesting a 2 hour time frame previous structure and creating a lower high on that 4 hour time frame before we create the next lower low. Ideally, I would be looking for sells right underneath the EMA. So it's a good thing we didn't enter anytime sooner. We're still waiting for that break underneath, retest, and sell after that happens. Euro CHF, Euro CAD price has pushed up. We are bullish on the weekly time frame. I talked about us potentially retesting the EMA again or creating a double bottom. Looks like price has, let's see, price actually ended up pushing into the EMA. Oh, so what we were waiting for is a break and retest above the EMA. That was the main thing. But right now we're still underneath the EMA. We're actually creating a head and shoulders pattern right here. Shoulder, head, shoulder, retest the neckline under the EMA, under the area of interest, and we could potentially sell. Like I had mentioned yesterday, or rather this morning, we have this wick that looks like it could need to get filled in. Um, and there's a good chance that that happens this week. We might actually need, we might get a doji this week. We might get something before we end up getting the push to the upside. That's exactly what it looks like is happening. So we'll continue to wait for this. And the reason for that being is the weekly time frame is bullish. And we just want to be trading with that higher time frame. Yes, the daily time frame is bearish, but the 4 hour time frame is bullish as well. So we have two time frames in sync to buy. We're just waiting for price to actually break above the area of interest and above the EMA before doing so. All right, let's head into some of these other pairs that we analyzed. USD CAD, we already went over. GBP USD. GBP USD daily time frame is bearish. 4 hour time frame is currently bullish, but we are kind of creating a lower high, retesting of the 2 hour EMA, creating a double top right here, retesting the neckline of the double top to get a potential push back to the downside. Understanding that the weekly time frame is bearish and the daily time frame is bearish means that we don't necessarily need the 4 hour time frame to be bearish in order to take this trade. Lower time frame area of or lower time frame structure and shift the structure and or entry signal is really all we need. Just basically more lower time frame confirmations to take this trade to the downside. Euro USD, very, very similar. Daily time frame had pushed to the downside. Now the weekly time frame is bullish. I would like to see a continuation to the upside. That may not be necessarily guaranteed considering how strong we pushed to the downside last week. So daily time frame is bearish. We're under the EMA. I was hoping to get something like this where price reacts above the EMA and continues to push up. That's not what we're getting. We're actually starting to see the sellers continuing to sell. So there's a good chance that price starts to trend downwards for quite a while underneath this daily EMA. As you can see, whenever price is above the EMA, it usually buys for a while, and when it's underneath, it usually sells. When it's above, it usually buys, and it seems like we're actually shifting back underneath in order to sell. Therefore, that's what we'll do. We'll sell. Daily time frame is bearish. 4 hour time frame is bearish as well. So we did retest previous structure. We retested the EMA on the 2 hour time frame, similar to the way we did here on GBP USD, except for GBP USD has a lot more selling potential than Euro USD in terms of the 2 hour EMA. We are currently right here on GBP USD, as you can see, Similar market structure, except for here we are already on the way to this next structure point, whereas on GBP USD we still have quite a ways to go to this structure point. So that's good. Out of the two, I would prefer to trade GBP USD. Euro USD will probably continue to sell for quite a while, but I'm just trying to kind of break down the lower time frames for you guys. As you can see here, you could have probably caught this trade really nicely. You have a triple top, you have your neckline, price did what? Retested the neckline, engulfed to the downside. The trade was right here. Stop loss above the EMA. Above structure, you would have already been at a 1 to 1.5, currently sitting at a 1 to 1. And that right there would have been a 1 to 2, just targeting this previous low. Anyways, on to the next. For these two, I would say continue to watch for price to push down from underneath this area. What could happen is we could be creating a double top right here. So it's like a secondary double top. We have a triple top, neckline, double top at the neckline, break below, retest neckline, and then continue to sell. So just a lot of retesting previous structures. For a good easy sell, all I would wait for, break, retest, and sell into the downside. Yeah, so we'll toss that up there. We will continue to watch that one. NZD USD. NZD USD, waiting for a pullback into previous structure, into area of interest. Still a lot of waiting to do. Nothing much to see here as of right now. NZD CAD, on the other hand, is already at previous structure. It looks like we might actually be targeting this area of interest right here. Or maybe not, because if we do target this area of interest, there's a chance that we might go bullish for a short time, but that's not really a problem because we have this EMA right here, which will hold price down. It kind of looks like we're doing something along these lines where, sorry, I need water, where we have a double top right there, price retested the neckline and then sold. What do we have here? Can't really call this a double top, but it still is a double top, retest the neckline, and then sell. Very similar. Obviously, you don't have too like a huge of a return, maybe a 1 to 2 if you're lucky. Another thing is you're selling into really nothing. You may be able to use, well, I guess you can use some of these structures over here. Something like this. And looks like price already touched it one time. You can see how quickly we reacted off this area of interest. We instantly shot up, and now we're currently trading in between the two. So a good profit target if you sell from here would be that area of interest right there. I wouldn't try to hold any longer because there's a chance that we bounce around in here for a little while. AUD CAD. AUD CAD daily time frame created a push into the EMA. We are now retesting the previous structure on the 4-hour time frame. We were above the EMA, then we sold underneath. Now we are retesting the EMA from the bottom side, retesting the area of interest. Price overall is pretty bullish on these lower time frames. We could be creating a little double top right here before then having the break and retest of the neckline before we end up breaking and retesting underneath the EMA. I would just pay attention to how price reacts from the 2-hour EMA. It seems to be a pretty solid medium between the 4-hour and the lower time frames. But yeah, we are nearing the area of interest, so any type of lower time frame confirmation, such as a double top or a head and shoulders. So if we were to create a shoulder and then a head and then a shoulder and then we break underneath, like notice that I'm not going to be taking sells when price is all the way up here, I would like to wait for price to sell back underneath the EMA and then potentially catch a trade when we create either a head and shoulders up here or a head and shoulders right inside of this area. Because once that happens, then we will have the support of this EMA right here, and our entry can come in right here, stop loss right here, and then we catch a nice 1 to 2 in this direction. All right, GBP NZD weekly time frame, bullish daily time frame, bullish. We pulled back into previous structure right here. 4-hour time frame, pretty solid market structure overall. I don't expect it to pull back into this area of interest anymore. You can see how price usually reacts from the 1-hour EMA pretty consistently. Took this loss here last week. Price then pushed up. Then we pulled back once again, pushed up. Now we are retesting the EMA finally. I do believe that I do believe we actually already finished creating this double bottom. And from here, price should just continue to push up. Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. That's not a bad opportunity. We went over this. We went over this. This one is one to watch as well. Let's see what the JPY pairs are doing. So JPY pairs are retesting that, at least NZD JPY retesting the 4-hour EMA, potentially retesting previous structure. You can see how the wicks touched barely, and then we saw a reaction to the downside. Overall, I would expect buys, higher time frame. Market structure implies that price is probably going to continue to the upside, especially after we saw the reaction last week. But there's also a chance, like I think I marked up right here, that price will pull back into previous structure into the EMA on the 4-hour time frame and the 2-hour time frame. So we retested this area of interest, and then now we're heading to the downside. We might be seeing some bearish market structure for a little bit. We might pull back into here. I think I mentioned us getting a bearish week before getting a continuation on the daily time frame. So we might be doing that right now. If we're going to be taking buys, I would suggest taking buys above this area of interest. And if we're going to be taking sells, then we are actually in the position to be taking those sells. They are counter trend trades since the daily time frame is bullish, but the 4-hour time frame is currently bearish. We created a lower low, a lower high, retesting previous structure, and a lower time frame area of interest. And we are getting the sellers back in this market. 4-hour time frame bearish, bearish. Yeah, they're all basically doing the same thing. CAD JPY and NZD JPY, I think, are the cleanest in terms of the lower time frames, shifting underneath the EMA, pullback, and we're starting to see the sellers back in control over here as well. We have a weekly area of interest right here. We have a daily area of interest right inside of here. And all we're waiting for is price to push into this area of interest, into the EMA, into previous structure, before then getting that continuation to the upside the way we want to see it. So these, not going to be trading because they are counter trend. But once we reach this area of interest, whether it might be at the end of this week or early next week, I will be looking for those buys to happen. So for right now, not really interested. We already went over these. There's a reason we didn't pick them, because we would be selling into nothing. Except for here, now we have this structure that you could sell into. So I guess that's what we could be targeting. CAD CHF already seeing the reaction from the area of interest. And from the previous structure right here, GBP CHF, same thing as well. We pulled back into this trend line, pulled back into the EMA. We have a shift to structure on the 30-minute time frame. We have a shift to structure. No, we don't have a shift to structure there. But we have one on the 30-minute. So right now we're just creating the lower high to create the next lower low and give us the potential continuation on the higher time frames there. And if that's going to happen on GBP CHF, then it's also going to be happening on Euro CHF. As you can see, that's exactly what's happening. Same thing with AUD CHF, except for this one is a little bit less clean. We might be seeing a little bit more bullish market structure occurring before we actually get those sells to the downside. But overall, CHF pairs should all be moving in a similar manner. Okay, CHF pairs done. GBP CAD, daily time frame. Above the EMA, once again, we're kind of stuck in this little wedge, if that's what you could call it, of buyers and sellers. We're quite literally just squeezing our way into smaller and smaller market structure. Eventually, I think we're going to explode in one direction or another, probably upwards if I had to guess. I feel like we're going to create a squeeze and just pop to the upside. We are trading above the EMAs here, trading above the weekly, trading above the daily. And we should be trading above the 4-hour pretty soon as well. It looks like sells are a lot cleaner or a lot easier to, what was that? That's weird. Sells are a lot easier to catch in terms of EMA. You can see how when we're above, I guess there's a nice break, retest, buy. But here, it's always clean, break, retest, sell, retest, sell. As soon as we're above, there's not much of a break and retest, but there is a little bit of one. But here, as soon as we break, retest, sell, very, very clean. I guess we break above, small little retest, buy, break, retest, sell. Same thing here, break, retest, buy, break, retest, and sell. So those are all things that we could trade. I'm not really going to be trading that. I want to be trading the move that happens all the way up here. So the final break, retest, buy, or the move that happens underneath the EMA. So let's call this an area of interest. And then we get the break, retest, sell. Okay. Those are the type of moves we want to be catching. AUD, NZD. We're still waiting for the double bottom or the double top to be created. Still waiting for price to actually break and retest underneath or break and retest above. From what I am seeing right now, we could be selling because of the way that price looks. We had a bearish engulfing candle. We're creating the lower high, technically the lower high on the 4-hour, definitely the lower high on the 4-hour because we have bearish market structure here. But on the daily time frame, we never shifted bearish. We're still bullish on the daily. 4-hour is bearish, but the weekly is bullish. So it's a counter trend trade. That's why I was saying if I'm going to be taking sells, I would want to see them like so, rather than taking them from the middle of this weird area. Now, it's not the worst that I've ever seen because we are retesting previous structure, and we have seen a few reactions from this area. So there's kind of an area of interest in between the areas of interest. Let's see, 1, 2, 3 structures. Third is currently being created. But yeah, still waiting on this one. Nothing much more to be said there. What happened here? Daily time frame is bearish. 4-hour time frame is now bearish. We were bullish, but we are bearish now. What we were waiting for is a break and retest under the EMA. There wasn't much of a retest. There was mostly just a break and fall. Price did create an ugly head and shoulders pattern, I guess, but that's not much of a tradable. Like, I guess this would be your head and shoulders. You have your shoulder, head, shoulder, and then I guess this right here would count as your neckline. I'm not a huge fan of that, so we're not even going to call that. We're not going to call that a win at all in terms of the analysis. Price is still pushing, probably going to push into this area of interest down here. But not much has changed in terms of our trades. A few more of them have been setting up. Um, yeah, so the ones we have picked out are the best ones for current market conditions. Well, a lot of them are similar down here, but we're not going to worry about those. Let's go ahead and order these from what is most likely to be ready tonight or tomorrow, and what is less likely to be ready tonight or tomorrow. So GBP NZD, we are at the area of interest. We are basically just waiting for a lower time frame reason to enter the trade, whatever that might be for you. Price is bearish on the 4 hour, but it is bearish from right here. So in order for, or sorry, for on the 30-minute time frame, in order for price to go bullish, you either have to break below this structure point and then have the shift to structure, or you have to wait for price to break above this structure point and then pull back and then buy. Neither of those are like fantastic options. What another thing that could happen is price could just be creating a double top. This could be your area of interest, and then you could just wait for a buy above this area like so. But overall, I do expect us to be creating this double bottom right here. What did I do? Right here, like so, and pushing up from this EMA as well. So that one right there is probably going to be most ready or ready most quickly. NZD, NZD CAD, also at the area of interest. Same thing is just we're just waiting for a lower time frame entry signal. 4 hour time frame here is already starting to react. So I actually prefer GBP USD over these two because we can already see how price had a reaction to the downside. Now we're having the pullback, and then we're just waiting for the further reaction to the downside. These ones are kind of could go either way almost. A lot of these are in the same position. We're just waiting for like GBP AUD and GBP NZD identical in terms of where we are right now in price. We're at the area of interest. We're creating the same candles. So whichever one looks cleaner to you, you can take. These two are also very, very similar, except going in opposite directions. AUD CHF, Euro CHF. Okay, so these require a shift to structure. Here we have to have a break and retest above, break and retest below. This one is already on the way to sell, so this one can go up to here. This one we're waiting for the reaction to the downside, waiting for the reaction to the downside, waiting for the push to the upside, waiting for the push to the downside, waiting for the push to the upside. Same thing, waiting. So this one is a little bit better because we already have confirmation that price is selling. Like we already have this price where we created a double top. We already have the pullback. We are already underneath the EMA. For extra confirmation, you can wait for the break and retest under this double top. If you just want to hop in, you can realistically, technically hop in right now and either use your stop loss above this high right here, or even to be safer, stop loss above these highs right here, and then targeting a 1 to 2 basically adjust your take profit and stop loss as needed. But out of all of them, I think that GBP USD is most ready, and then Euro CHF is in second place. As you can see, we are also setting up with bearish market structure, similar to the way we did over here. If you notice, we had head and shoulders forming in a similar way, broke, retested, and then sold. Okay, what are we doing here? Shoulder, head, shoulder, broke, retest, sell. So all we're waiting for is a lower time frame retest to sell. Lower time frame retest is already happening. All we're waiting for is the entry signal. And then all of these other ones need the lower time frames to do something. These ones are a little bit more apparent. I actually prefer GBP AUD over GBP NZD because you can see how here we have a lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low. All we need is a break above, retest these structures, and then we can buy. I mean, this is really, really clean. Unlike this, your main structure is right here. In order to break above that, you don't really have like a nice entry point. You don't have a nice shift to structure point unless you use the 15-minute time frame. Even that actually, it does not work the same way. I was going to say we can use this structure right here, but it is not ideal. So yeah, I would prefer this. In fact, we can probably just remove GBP NZD completely. GBP AUD just makes so much more sense. NZD CAD, NZD CAD waiting for waiting for something like this. I don't know. It's kind of in a position where it could go. To me, this looks more like this than it does this. You see how here we have a nice gradual pullback. So I guess that's exactly what we're waiting for. That answers the question. Right now we're doing this. We're pushing up, we're pushing up, we're pushing up. What we need to see price push underneath the EMA, retest the EMA, and then give us the sell. So in reality, what we're waiting for is we're waiting for this. We're waiting for price to sell very strongly, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, and then finally sell. Okay. And at that point, the EMA will have done this and kind of the same way it did over here. So we might actually break above the EMA. We might retest this, and then we'll actually get the sells. Okay. So that's the way I expect price to play out here. Here is pretty self-explanatory. We're just waiting for the shift to buy. This can go right next to GBP AUD. Those are almost the same. AUD, USD, AUD, USD, I actually like this one for where it is. Could be creating a double top, or you might say we already created the triple top and now we're retesting the neckline. Either way, you can either be safe and wait for a price to break underneath this area, which is probably what I would do. Or you could just take the trade as is, take it right here, stop loss right there, and then target, 1 to 2.2, 1 to 2.3. This is risky though. This is risky though. But once again, like I said, this right here, same thing as this right here. Okay. So I do think that we're literally like right there. So we're about to continue to the downside. If you want proper confirmation, just wait for price to fully sell like one more bearish candle. It's not an entry signal. This is not a this is not like a trading signal. This is not me telling you guys to enter. I'm just giving you guys my thought of what is going on. But yeah. AUDCHF. AUDCHF. We already kind of broke this one down. Now for lower time frames, you guys can kind of figure out what to do with it. I would expect something like this. Like we're currently We're currently like so. Kind of looks like. I don't know. I want to see this happen. I want to see break underneath, retest, and then sell. So that's exactly what we should wait for is proper break underneath, retest, and then sell. USD CHF, we were waiting for the full break and retest underneath to continue selling, and then Euro CAD break and retest above to continue buying. You guys have any questions? Obviously, if you enjoyed the breakdown, I'm going to be doing these for the rest of the week as well. So feel free to join. I encourage as many people to do so as possible. But that's basically it, ladies and gentlemen. In terms of signals, I'll be back to sending signals sometime um, tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'll be looking for entries. I'm going to get some rest tonight and then be back at it in the morning. But yeah, no problem. No problem. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.